Well, good evening. How are you, Catherine?
I'm good. How are you, Luciana?
I'm doing very good, very good, very well. So
Okay.
we're doing episode 9 tonight. Sorry, episode 29.
Right,
Stop feeding the tapeworm, part 3.
right.
Okay.
And just wanted to do a little review. Actually, there is some sort of a logic in what we do, and what we're trying to teach folks, as there has been ever since episodes 1 and 2. And the last three, and I think we're going to have a Stop Feeding the Tapeworm part 4, probably too. But just to review last time and give you all a heads up about what we'll talk about tonight. It's again so important that if that in order for us to be free of these parasites, we have to stop believing we need them, because keep in mind, they can't function at all without us. Everything
Yeah.
they do is through us. They have no, corporations can't do anything. They're dead things. So in episodes 27 and 28, which are Stop Feeding the Tapeworm, parts 1 and 2, we covered the urgency of freeing ourselves from our dependence on the corporate cabal and the important fact that it is they who need us. Okay. Um, they've been plundering our creativity for quite some time. Ron has gone into some detail about how they did that in the automotive industry, among many others. And we also spoke about the artificial, fraudulent nature of their concept of intellectual property, and how we really don't need to protect our interests by buying into that concept. We just have to live according to what God told us and give up our greed. We have to give up our greed, and we have to, stop worshiping money. And we need to live by the golden rule. We need to learn to cooperate with one another instead of competing. Um, so, and I wanted to also bring up and, ask for guidance from Heavenly Father about where we are in this struggle to free ourselves. Um, in, um, in Exodus, um, chapter 23, um, verse 30, um, he promised little by little and little. This is King James Version. I will drive them out from before thee until thou be increased and inherit the land. And previously in 29, I will not drive them out from before thee in 1 year, lest the land become desolate and the beasts of the field multiply against thee. It's
Mm,
not going to happen in the blink of an eye, and
right.
that's for our own benefit. And I know that that refers to past struggles with being enslaved, but we know that's the in the past been the thinking of our Heavenly Father. Um, and then in Joel, I'm getting the impression, Joel 3, verse 10, that now is the time because they desperately want war against us so they can take our stuff,
Right.
um,
Yeah.
because they can't see beyond the end of their noses. And they can't see that, they're cutting their own throats to do that. Looking at Joel 3:10, uh, and before that, 9, proclaim this among the nations, prepare war, wake up the mighty men, let all the men of war draw near, let them come up. And then 10, beat your plowshares into swords and your pruning hooks into spears. Let the weak say, I am strong. And
I
that's
am
what
strong.
I
We
am
are
strong.
strong. We are strong.
and in verse 11, assemble yourselves and come, all ye nations. And I think he means the people when he talks about
Mm-hmm.
nations. And
Yeah.
gather yourself together round about. There cause thy mighty ones to come down, O Lord. Um, and and then later, it's actually earlier in the King James Version, in Isaiah, verse, I think it's 3:10. Um, it's just the opposite. This is the promise of the kingdom to come, that it will be just the opposite. Instead of beating plowshares into swords, we will be beating swords into plowshares. And I don't have the exact quote, but it is that's the promise, that we will be able to live in peace finally. And that's my prayer for us tonight, and that we will get into the nuts and bolts of how to simply live and according to the golden rule, and not harm others,
Yeah.
and not engage in idolatry, not
Mm-hmm.
engage in greed, all the things that has brought this tribulation upon us to begin with.
Exactly. Exactly.
Um, so last time we spoke of how to become more independent as far as um, transportation
Mm-hmm.
and um, and um, and what else? Commu- um, Food, water, and food. We did talk about water and food and transportation. And
Yeah, I think we're still going to be talking about water and food and self-sustaining ourselves as well.
yeah, well, there's yeah, we have a link there, and we can put this on at any point, about how the Amish do that. And of course, the Amish are doing and have been doing without a lot of the amenities that we're used to for a number of years. I think there's a lot that we can learn from them, and particularly those of us in Ohio. Usually, none of us are very far from Amish communities, and
Mm-hmm.
we'll
Yeah.
uh, we'll visit one of their sites.
Yeah.
Um,
Did you want me to play this video? The one
uh,
about it's on. Oh yeah, I think you wanted me to start it in at 4 minutes, right?
Uh, Not quite ready for the Amish yet. Thought I'd wait on that and get while we got Ron and Dr. E here to talk
Mm-hmm.
about the really hard issues,
Mm-hmm.
which I think are electricity and communication.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so um, Dr. E knows from the inside out how one of the big mega corporations, corporate criminals, has used communication and uh, internationally to harm a lot of people. He didn't know it at the time he worked for him, but um, yeah. Dr. E, you want to tell us a little bit about what you have learned, about, as well as in your own experience with getting yourself more independent from the big energy corporations, and particularly most of us are dealing with the toxicity of the smart meters that are being inflicted on us by the monopolistic uh, electric corporations. So, yeah, Dr. E, are you
Yeah,
still on?
I'm here. I'm not sure exactly what you want me to say. As far as you want me to talk about EMF or
Yeah, just wherever you want to take it. I mean, I think a lot of us are aware, or you should be aware of the dangers of EMS and any imminent um, EMF attack. So, yeah, if you want to talk a little bit about that and the steps that you have taken, you would recommend to others to take to protect yourself against that, and also to have a livable alternative um, for living without this toxic source of electricity.
well, that's kind of hard to do. The the only thing I can think of that really works well as far as energy is concerned is for heat, particularly have a wood burning potbelly stove.
Sure.
Um, I mean that's the first thing. The other thing that the people don't quite understand, I guess, is the government is pushing electric vehicles on people, and the car manufacturers are saying that we don't want to build them because they don't sell. The thing that I don't like about them is they're a super EMF generator that you're driving around, and
Mm-hmm.
using a cell phone in a car is not wise at all because you're basically in a quasi Faraday cage where the EMF signals keeps bouncing around in your car, so you get like 4 to 5 times more the dosage if you just not in your car. So you don't ever want to use your cell phone in a car, not because it's a distraction, it's because it's harmful to your health. The thing that I live near a 5G tower, so I got a carbon based paint to put in my bedroom and grounded it so that when the EMF comes in, it goes to ground and I won't get the radiation from it.
Okay.
Does anyone have
Right.
any questions?
Yeah. Where do you get those? Where do you get that kind of paint? You know.
Um, well, you would ask me that. It's emfless.com. I'm pretty sure that's what it was. It's based in New York.
Oh, okay. Not something you can go to Lowe's and get.
No, you have to special order it.
Uh huh.
And you have
Okay.
to, if you don't ground it to, I mean, a real good ground with a ground rod, you're
Yeah.
wasting your time.
Okay. Now you also you have a generator,
Well,
and
okay, so for power, what I have a generator. It's a dual power. It uses either propane or gasoline, and I can either use a cord to power my refrigerator or another cord to power my freezer, or what I can do is make an extension cord with male plugs on both ends and go to the main circuit breaker, pull your main breaker and turn off all your breakers except for the one circuit that, let's say, your refrigerator is on, and plug the one male into your generator and the other male into a wall socket that powers your refrigerator or your freezer, and that will work fine. But you have to make sure that all the other circuit breakers are open, and the main circuit breaker going to the power company. You want to make sure that is open as well, because you don't want to have your generator hooked up to the main circuit when the power it'll blow your generator for sure. So you got to be careful when you're doing that. Are there any questions about that?
mm, I don't think I know
Hello?
enough to. And Ron probably already knows how that
Anybody
works.
there?
Um, okay. Well, at least we got the information out there, and people,
Yeah, I think Ron is still having
It's
problems
coming
with
in
his
as
mic.
like sounds like
Yeah.
it sounds like a musical thing. I can't understand the words.
What's a musical thing? Um, okay. Uh, all right. And then I don't know how I had mentioned this to you the other day, Dr. E, and that is the availability, at least I guess there used to be availability of propane powered refrigerators. So, and I don't know what the status of that is right now in Ohio. Um, or there are lower tech solutions that would not depend on propane, apparently. Um, and I was wondering what, because as far as other users of electricity that you have in your house besides refrigeration, looks like we lost Dr. E.
Yeah, he seems to he disappeared for a minute. I think he logged out and trying to get back in because he was having mic issues. Okay, I see he's back. Let's see if this helps.
Oh, yeah.
There he is.
Here's a question that Ron had for you. What are your thoughts, Dr. E, about ammonia-based refrigeration? Can you
Wow.
elaborate on that, Ron, in case Dr. E is not familiar with that?
I'm not familiar with that, so can you explain it or tell me more about it?
He's going to have to key it in since his mic is screwed up. We
Oh,
can't hear you. Yeah. Can you see the chat, Dr. E? Can you see the chat box on the right? Dr. E?
you're
Dr.
talking.
E?
I can't see anything. What I see is there's
Oh,
four squares, and then a
okay.
square,
Right.
and then it says you're in the show. Everybody
Yeah.
can see you or hear you.
Yeah, Catherine, he's not. Remember, he's not on a laptop, like or a computer like we
Okay.
are.
Well, I'm not on a
He's
laptop either, but I can see the chat box on the right. Um, okay. Yeah, Ron, if you could elaborate a little bit, I know it's cumbersome to key it in what you mean by ammonia-based refrigeration. I assume that's taking advantage of um, evaporation, I assume, in some way to provide a cooling effect. I know that the principles of evaporation causing cooling are often the foundation for alternatives for refrigerators. So, and we probably don't have to keep food as cold as we think we have to. Um, all right, he's saying it's a lower tech system that relies on evaporation. Yeah, okay, right. Um, yeah. So anyway, that's an area that
Freon.
uh, yeah. Freon, of course, is kind of a dangerous chemical, and that's what they use in refrigerators. And but I'm thinking, ammonia being, kind of a natural product, would not be as dangerous as Freon that is kind of leaking out here and there. I know that can be a health risk.
Yes.
Okay. There's we can run this, and you can start with item 4. of the Amish video. This is a video, and the guy tells about how he's living off grid in Holmes County, Ohio.
It's number 4, Life with No Electricity.
No, I'm talking about minute number 4 of the Amish video.
Oh, gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, the guy's name is Titus, and he's there's a guy named Pete who goes around the country and he interviews people in cloistered communities like the Mormons and the Amish. And he's done a number of videos on how the Amish live. And I believe Titus is he's either in Appalachia, maybe part of Kentucky, but I think it's still Ohio. And then he does another one about Amish and Mennonite in Holmes County, Ohio.
Mm-hmm.
And anyway, the one about life without electricity, a man living like the Amish, starting at the 4-minute mark, tells you what one man is able to do as far as keeping, with very little, keeping his dishes washed and his and some sort of cooling, because he's got running water. It sounds like he's got some sort of an underground spring thing going on. So let's just take a listen.
Main bills would be like dog food and like my phone bill. I've got a landline phone.
Landline, no cell phone.
Yeah, no cell phone. Okay. Yeah, it's crazy. Like I didn't want the internet, but they wouldn't give me a phone without the internet. So I'm paying for internet, but I don't get it. So I have a landline phone, and that's like $90 a month. And then dog food, I probably spend like $20 a month on dog food or something. Things like salt, fruit, and things like that, probably spend like $30 a month on that, probably.
So 90, 20, and 30.
Yeah.
So 140 a month is your expenditures.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I always dreamed of having my own farm, my own land, and the dream finally came true.
You love it?
I do. I wake up in the morning and there's a green hill on that side and a green hill on that side, and I just have my own little peaceful valley here.
That's
no
peace.
car.
No.
Vehicle.
You get around with carriage.
Yep.
So you're almost living an Amish life. Style.
Yeah, pretty much.
But
Yeah.
you're not at all.
No, I'm not a member. No, I'm not a member of the Amish church, but I pretty well live the lifestyle. Want some banana peels? Nothing goes to waste. This is Greatheart.
Greatheart.
Yes, that's his name.
That looks bad, Titus. Putting that in the barn. You don't seem like you're unhappy. So
no, I sometimes take up hay, bales of hay up in here, and I'll loop this around and snap it. But this is the way that I get up into my barn loft to get hay.
This is primitive, folks.
Titus, let me give you this and
okay.
Show what's up there.
All right. Wait, here we go.
Got it.
Am I holding it right?
Yeah, there we go.
Okay. Yeah, I got some hay up here. First cutting of hay.
You were telling me off camera you sleep up there on summer nights, right?
Yeah, sometimes it gets really hot in the trailer, and so I'll come up here in the hay, and it's like there's Peter down there. My friend Isaac was staying with me, and he was sleeping up here in the barn, and he said this sleeping on these hay bales, it's an eco-friendly, green, biodegradable mattress, and it smells good to top it off. Go out to the front, and I'll show you the funnest way to get out of the barn.
All right. Titus, you're a character. All right. What's Titus got for us here? You going to jump out of there?
I'll show you the funnest way to get out of the barn. There's some potatoes.
Oh, nice.
These are organic potatoes.
Okay, so you don't use any chemicals, huh?
Nope. I just spread manure from the horses here and then plowed it under and then waited a while and then planted the potatoes.
So you're getting zero processed foods, huh?
I was like 13, 14 years old, and I was over at a neighbor's house shoeing some horses. And they said, "Hey, you want a pop?" I said, or they asked me, "Do you like pop?" I said, I've never had it. They're like, "What? You've never had pop?" I said, "No." They said, "Well, you want to try it?" And I said, "Sure." So I tried one, and that was enough for the rest of my life. I didn't like it. And
It was what, one Coca-Cola?
it was like a Orange Crush.
You hated it.
It just, and that my dad, he helped build a plant where they produce the Coca-Cola. And he said if they had a spill, it would etch the concrete. It just eat away at the finish on the concrete. So if it does that concrete, what is it going to do to your bones? It's kind of like golfing, except for you hit the ball every time.
Drinking warm water before bed shrinks a swollen prostate overnight. Thousands of men are regaining control.
Can we skip that?
Grab you.
So this is for supper.
Yes.
Titus, I know there are a lot of ticks out here, but you don't worry about them at all, huh?
I just pick them off if they get on me. Here's some purple onions. We're going to cook those.
This is your whole dishwashing apparatus?
Yeah, I wash produce and dishes down here.
So you set this little barrier up here just to let the right amount of water in, huh?
Yeah, my buddy Isaac
Look
did,
at that water, Catherine, how
I
clear
usually
that
take
is.
a bath in there.
Take a bath up there?
Yeah.
That's beautiful.
And so that acts a little bit like a filter, huh?
Yeah, it's got some sand and gravel and stuff, yeah.
So having this behind your house is key, huh?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
You got to
Having
have
plenty-
this for this lifestyle, huh?
Having plenty of water. Yeah, I don't have to have electricity to pump it. It's just right here.
He must have an underground spring.
Something.
Do you ever get sick
Wow.
with anything?
I've gotten colds. I've gotten flus. Like the past year, I've not been sick at all. Like not even a cold, not even a stuffy nose, nothing. My thought is eat lots of healthy food, breathe deep of fresh air, trust in God, get your exercise, and do things that strengthen your immune system. So then your immune system is strong enough that it can just fight off whatever virus is out there.
Is this one of your classic meals?
Yeah, that's red potatoes, purple onions, and then kale. And then I'll put a little bit of pink Himalayan salt in there, and we'll put some water in there, and then we'll put it on the stove and let it cook. And then later today, Peter and I will come and have a feast.
Yeah, Titus. And it's got the Titus touch from the source.
We'll put a little bit more wood in here to some of the cedar that we cut earlier.
Yeah, I think cedar's a hardwood.
How far
that
away are
is
your
going
parents?
My
fast.
parents about 8 miles from here.
Okay.
Yep,
And you like going over there to visit?
I do.
Oh, look at the
This is
whole-
Truth here.
Oh, God. how
She's
cute.
being affectionate.
So when you go to your parents, do you love the conveniences? Because they have electricity and everything, right?
Yeah.
Is there a temptation in that?
No, I don't really like. I enjoy being there and enjoy, hanging out with my parents. But as far as the electricity or whatever, I don't really miss it. I guess that probably the only thing that I miss is like living without electricity is a refrigerator. A refrigerator is just so handy.
How long? Do you know how long
But
he's been
I
out
can
there?
put stuff in the creek and it'll keep overnight.
8
Like
years.
if I have beans left over,
Oh,
something,
okay.
I can put them in a pot in the creek and they'll stay good overnight. Of course, during the winter time, I've got a room in the back that I keep. I just keep the door shut so the heat doesn't go in there, and that's basically like a refrigerator during the winter time. No GMO, no herbicides, no pesticides, all organic.
No Monsanto out here?
No Monsanto, not for me. There are neighbors that are a few miles away that have Roundup Ready corn and soybeans. From what I've heard, they have developed a seed and they spliced a gene into it to where it terminates, so it's just good for one season.
Why? So you have to buy more, or how does that work?
Yeah, so you're dependent upon them. If you plant this stuff out in your soil, if you were to spray it with Roundup, it'd kill it. But the Monsanto seed, they've got corn and soybeans that are Roundup ready, so you can plant them in your field, and then you can spray a herbicide, and that kills all the weeds, but it won't hurt your corn.
So that's just easier to farm.
Mm-hmm.
Then with your garden, you have to pull the weeds, or what?
Yeah, pull weeds or hoe them, or like that cultivator that the horses pull. You take that through your rows, and it kills the weeds when they're really small. Kind of a peaceful sound.
It is. I like it. It's sort of therapeutic. Huh?
Yeah,
it is. It's like raking sand or something.
Yeah.
And he uses them for his buggy for transportation.
If I'm at peace and I'm right with God, I have his peace in my heart, then the horses are going to have it too.
They feel your energy completely.
Definitely. It's just like attitude. I mean, when you're around somebody, there's some people that are like cheerful, they're positive, and you feel like, oh, I want to spend time with that guy, or I want to spend time with that person. And there's other people that they're really negative, and you think, man, let's get out of here.
That's absolutely true.
I want to be polite, but I'd rather not spend a lot of time.
Yeah.
And I believe in animals are the same. If you have God's peace in your heart and you're calm, then the animals will want to be in your presence. They'll want to be with you. You can ride shotgun.
So where are we going, Titus?
We are going to go to a, that's broken. That's good, yeah.
Okay.
Friend of mine, Amish friend of mine that makes harness and
Amish friend.
Reuben Schroyer. He lost his hand in a sawmill accident.
Oh.
But it's amazing the workmanship that he can do with one good hand and a hook in the other.
Look at that beautiful land.
Your dog's coming too?
Yeah, the old one there, Spartacus, he's kind of slow and getting old. He may not go a whole way, but Sadie there, she'll run along.
Oh, that's nice. Nice little breeze.
Yeah, it feels good.
How good does that feel?
It feels good.
And do the horses like doing this, do you think?
They like working. There's times when we may feel like just laying in bed all day or, like not doing anything. But once you accomplish some useful work, there's a sense of satisfaction that you think, wow, a job well done, I think it's the same way with the horse. They plow that field there and we plant corn, and then later they get to eat it when the snow flies. Or it's hot and sweaty and they're mowing hay. That's hard work, but when the snow flies, they've got something yummy to munch on in the barn.
Do you have a girlfriend?
No, I'm single.
Do you want a girlfriend?
I do. Yeah.
You do? It's going to have to be the right woman that's going to love this lifestyle, right?
Definitely.
Because you're not moving to Atlanta, are you?
No, no. I don't like being in cities. Like there's been times when God told me to go preach in a city, and I've gone for that. But as soon as I can get out of there, I'm out.
With good reason, too.
Yeah.
He likes you, huh, Titus?
Yeah.
This was
Did you want to continue on this?
No, this is good. This is good.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd like to learn more about, what they're doing, and I'd like to be able to help them because I know that just like what the cabal is doing to the rest of us, they're going to go after our land. They're going to go after his land too. And I
Yeah.
know that anyway, that's a whole other broadcast about how the Amish could do way better and distance themselves way more from the cabal than what they are now. I see Michael's on, and you don't have much.
Much battery. How you doing, Mike?
I'm doing. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. Pretty
I
good.
was wondering if you had any experience with. Mike's a trucker, and I wonder if you had any experience with using ham radio.
Ham radio? No. I know somebody that does, but not me.
Okay, okay.
Yeah, I wanna get into that a little bit too.
Okay.
A lot of people have been to Catherine. We should really look into it. Me and me and you, and maybe we could teach others as well because uh, I
Yes,
don't think the day is far when they're just. I mean, they literally have control over whether or not we will be able to communicate.
Do
You know
you want
that.
me do you want me to give him your phone number?
Who?
absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, okay, okay.
A friend that knows about ham radio.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, for sure.
Uh, and I think I sent you, maybe it's, yeah. If you want to put up the link there, it's to an article about ham radio,
Okay.
and it's to the Ham Radio Association, the amateur operators of ham radio.
Which number is that?
Number 6.
Okay, there we go.
And I think it's just the article really, I had found it because I know that there's this expectation that, I mean, the cabal has taken over this and they think that they own the airways, they own everything, according to them. And they, they have to license people to use ham radio. And
Of
I think
course.
that would be a mistake for us to get sucked into that.
Yeah.
Um, and I don't know enough about ham radio to know, is there some sort of a scarcity of,
I
you know,
I never heard that you had to get licensed for it.
Yeah, they
well,
say you do.
Really, because I
You
know
got to have
people.
all kind of special nonsense for it, I guess. I don't
Oh,
know much about it, but I've heard bits and pieces from hearing him talk about it.
huh.
if you want to link to that, I think they talk about it a little bit on um, their association, the article about being a ham radio operator, if you can find that. Yeah, but I think, as we've talked about before, any license that the cabal issues is based on the presumption that if you didn't have a license, it would be unlawful or it would be illegal to do whatever it is. You couldn't travel if you don't have a license. You couldn't, you couldn't run a business if you don't have a license. You couldn't do apparently ham radio without a license. But I just wanted someone who knew about, is there any logical reason that there should be a licensing of ham radio usage? I mean, is there some sort of scarcity that we need Big Brother to arbitrate among the many users and decide who can use this bandwidth and who can use that one, and anything like that?
I don't think when it's a ham radio, I don't think they can ban you from these bandwidths the way they can with Wi-Fi and 5G and your cell phone. I mean, they could
What's
just
the
shut those off.
what's the best time frame for them to try to get a hold of you?
Afternoon, evening.
Okay.
Yeah.
And Catherine and Mike, if it's a weekend like Saturday or Sunday, we can even give them a link, and we could do a private
StreamYard
stream.
deal.
Yeah, a private one,
Yeah.
like we're doing now, but not go live. It would just be us, and we could chat and learn a little bit from him that we could even teach others.
Well, next time I see him, I'll I'll say something and I'll give him your numbers to have him get a hold of you.
Thank you.
Okay. Yeah. Keith, did you have something you wanted to contribute about ham radios, about certain ranges, bandwidths, or anything like that? I don't know what that really has to do with, even if there are. Yeah, I understand that the fraudulent FCC, the agents of that organization, that corporation, seem to believe that they, own everything. But again, like with any license, folks, look at Article 1, Section 8 of the Constitution, their Constitution, and they admit they only have, I think it's 17 different powers. They don't really have any of those powers, but they claim to have those powers. And the power to form a private for-profit corporation, calling itself FCC, and to regulate the airways, I don't see how that comes within any of those enumerated powers they claim that they have. It's certainly not, doesn't even fit with Admiralty and Maritime, which is another bogus power that they proclaim that they have. So anyway, and remember, if their Constitution doesn't give them that power, then that power reverts to the states through the Ninth Amendment or to the people through the 10th Amendment. That's if you're even acknowledging that their Constitution means anything, which I don't acknowledge that it does. Keep in mind, too, that Constitution, so-called, that 1787 Constitution, was never signed. And according to Lysander Spooner, never would have been signed by them, by our ancestors, by nobody. So what is it? It's a document that acknowledges we have certain rights they can't take away, but it's only a few of the rights they even will talk about. We have way more rights than that. So it doesn't give us anything. So, anyway, that's just a reminder to people not to get distracted by limitations on their. They think they have constitutional rights. No, we have God-given rights, and that was admitted. They admitted it after the Constitution in 1793 with Chisholm versus Georgia. That we the people are the source of all earthly law, not them, not their Constitution, not their supremacy clause either, which someone had drawn to my attention earlier today. Keith says they want to know more like registration and licenses. Yeah, they want an income stream. I get it. But what exactly do they do in exchange for the licensing fees? What does that do for anybody? How does that help anybody?
Not only that, they're making income from us having to pay to get a license and whatever. I think there's a bigger picture to their evil plan, is that they want to be able to follow us, to keep a track of what we're doing. And right? I mean, if you have a license and then you go log on with a certain license number or something, I don't know how that works. I guess we're going to be learning about it, but Yeah, I don't get the licensing part. You could still get on and use a ham radio without a license. Just like you could get on, you could still drive without a license, right?
Yes.
You can
Right.
still
Yeah.
get from here to there. The thing is,
Yeah.
they want to be able to track you. They want to be able to, they want to know everything about everybody. Yep.
Right. Right.
Definitely about control and tracking and
Yeah.
monitoring every move you make and everything you're doing. Who's doing what? Who is it that's using ham radios? You know what I'm saying? Because if
Right.
somebody is involved in learning and using a ham radio, they already know, these people know what's up. They're going to want to watch them more closely, is what I'm thinking.
Well, at one time that ham radio usage was very much used before internet by truckers, wasn't it, Mike?
What's that?
Wasn't ham radio usage very common before internet usage? You might be too young to remember those days.
But now, who's using ham radios?
Yeah, who's doing it now?
Who's doing it now?
I don't know. I'm sure there's
I'll tell you,
probably
I know
some.
who's doing it now. People who are in the know and people who know what's coming and people who are preparing to be able to defend their families, people that are preparing for what if they shut down the internet? What if they shut down our phones? And they could do that with a click of a button, and we will not be able to communicate with each other, as well as people who are trying to communicate without them being able to listen in, because as many of us know, there's many that are aware that they will just, without a warrant and without any reason to do so, they can tap right into your phone.
I wonder how easy that is with ham radio communications. Is that more difficult that way?
Absolutely. It doesn't have all that Wi-Fi and stuff that they use to be able to listen in on your conversations and stuff.
Does it require electrical?
No, right, Mike? No, it doesn't.
Well, I'm sure it takes something.
Yeah, but you know how it works electrically. It's like, I mean, what I have seen, and I don't know much about it, but what I started learning about it, isn't it like you crank it up, like you crank it up to get it working.
I don't know. I don't know much about it.
Yeah. So that you don't need the electricity in case electricity goes out. You can still have communication, That's why they have
You need some sort of a device that will access the airways, though. And I just wonder, where would you buy? We need to talk to your friend, right? Find out where you would buy such devices.
Yeah, he might would know about some of that. He's an older fella, so he kind of a little bit more knowledgeable and stuff like that than I am, because I don't know nothing about it really.
Mm-hmm. At one time, let's say, you had mentioned, Ron, about crystal radios, and Keith just mentioned crystal radios. Can you key in something about that, how that would work? Or Keith, do you know about it? Do you have vocal access to the broadcast? Probably not. Well, little by little, we're getting used to. We're getting accustomed to interference with our communication right here, right now, aren't we?
Yeah.
and we're adjusting, and we will adjust in the future. Very simple in their construction, mostly a coil of water. Coil of water or coil of copper or coil of copper wire. Is that?
What were you talking about, Catherine?
I'm looking at the chat box trying to decipher what Ron is telling us.
Oh,
A coil of wire. Yeah, I mean, that has something to do with generating a magnetic field. And I'm just kind of grasping at straws here from the little bit I remember about high school physics. I just, if nothing else, I just wanted to, yeah, Keith asked, how can you get around, you know, with this crystal radio thing, how can you get around, get sound without electric? The wires control the frequency, according to Ron. Okay. And Ron says a crystal radio needs no battery. So what's the energy source then? I mean, I guess energy's all around us. Yeah.
I was just looking into one, and I guess there's emergency radios with hand crank and solar panel built in. It's a hand crank solar paneled one.
Isn't there I'm kind of leery about solar panel usage, although, you know, I mean, I don't know how sustainable that is. Apparently there's some sort of rare earth substances that may not be available indefinitely that make the solar panels work, and they don't last that long. And Wi-Fi can produce current with the right collector. That's from Ron. And then Keith talks about self-cranking. And if nothing else, I mean, there's always that. And I want to bring up, while I'm thinking about it too, that as far as sources of clean water, you know, and I have this now, if you have a deep well, the deal is don't try and pump that water with an electric pump. That's not a sustainable plan. You know, as long as you got, you know, a good set of arms, you can pump enough water, you know, by hand to fill a reservoir and have enough for the day. And the key is, of course, you got to have a deep enough well to guard against droughts. You know, I had a shallower well and had some issues when we went through some recent droughts. So wells do go dry if they're too shallow. But, you know, and this should be about everything. If you have just little household appliances, I've got a food grinder. Just plug it in, and you know you're grinding up pepper. But I need to get a hand crank, you know, and just I suggest that people get into that mindset that will this work if we don't have the grid anymore. Okay, Ron says, if we get into a conversation about solar, he has some sources of information regarding increasing their output. Okay, and their longevity too, I suppose. Hopefully, Because I thought they kind of play out after a couple, 3 years, don't they? Typically. Keith says, watch out for chemical contamination. I don't know if he's referring to solar panels. And in what context? I mean, if you've got them on your roof and you're using them, it depends on what you're using them for, I guess. Oh, okay. Ron says it's all about the light spectrum. I'm glad you brought that up, because that's another thing to be conscious of in light of the EMF toxicity we're all exposed to. I urge people to go on the internet and look for the Ott light, the John Ott light. Y'all familiar with that?
Nope.
Dr. John Ott and the Ott light produces full spectrum light, much healthier than any incandescent or fluorescent light. It may be able to counteract some of the toxicity that we get from EMF exposures. Strongly urge people to get, I'd have an EMF light for every room. And I don't think they take very much energy at all. I don't know if you can get them that run on direct current. For those who don't know, John Ott was a biologist who studied the effects of different wavelengths, light, and different parts of the spectrum on plant and animal growth and development. And it makes a huge difference. It can make the difference between whether you're growing female plants or male plants, the type of light that they're exposed to. And he did a lot of experiments on that. He worked in the early days of Disney on the time-lapse photography sequences, if anybody remembers the time-lapse photography of flowers blooming. And he did the photography on that. And to do that, he had to know a lot about how to make things grow and flower, and what kinds of parts of the spectrum would promote flowering and so forth. But what our bodies are used to is full spectrum light, like the sun. Yeah. It's the closest thing that we can get indoors to what nature provides in terms of sunlight. The worst type of light that you can have is fluorescent or these so-called energy-saving lights. What do they call them now?
LED.
Yes, those are an abomination. Yeah. If you can possibly get the incandescent, they're much better than the LEDs for your health. But ideally, you would get an Ott light. Any 60 cycles per second light is problematic. And why would that be? Because it's just, you're getting junk light instead of junk food that only gives you part of the nutrition you're supposed to have. Junk light gives you just a narrow part of the band. And that's why they don't want us to have, full spectrum lights, but you can still get them. And I think incandescent lights are getting to be just about impossible to get most places. Um, and okay. Well,
So, Catherine, I did find I found a very short video, and it's only, I think, from a year ago. No, it's actually from this year, and it talks about, it has the top 5 review for the best handheld hand radios for survival and emergency scenarios, and it's got the top 5 and explains them in just like 3 minutes. Do you want me to show
okay,
it?
yeah. Look, play that. Yeah.
Right. Okay. All right. Hold on a second here. I just now found it. I think it'd be interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see here.
I gotta go plug this in, guys. I'm gonna have to go.
All right,
All
Mike.
Battery's
All right.
about to die.
Okay.
Okay. Thanks, Mike.
All right, we'll
Thanks,
see you.
Mike.
Bye.
Okay, you ready? Can you get
Yeah.
Okay, here we go.
Phone towers or internet providers. Before diving deep, here is a summary of our top picks. Let's go. Number 1, most popular. Baofeng BFF8 HP two-way radio. It allows you to hit a lot of local repeaters easily, even if you're at a considerable distance from them. It also comes with a built-in flashlight. It's surprisingly easy to use and program and supports both the Chirp and the Baofeng software. It's a dual-band radio and allows you to access many different bands, including the weather band and the maritime band. Of course, it supports the NOAA weather station as well. It's built very well and shouldn't have any problem being resistant to rough survival conditions. Number 2. Kato KA 500 5-way powered solar power. It's amazingly functional with 5-way power and can even be powered by solar power, which is great especially at this price. It's not a handheld radio but is fairly portable. It works well both as a crank radio and a flashlight, so it will definitely turn out to be an incredibly useful tool for survival. It doesn't have any issues picking up pretty much every weather bands out there, as well as even the local and shortwave radio bands. The sound is good enough too, and the light is sufficiently bright. Number 3. Running Snail Emergency Weather Radio. The Running Snail supports the NOAA weather alerts and other emergency weather alerts for emergencies like tornadoes, hurricanes, and so on. Its 1W LED flashlight works great when you land yourself in completely dark conditions in survival situations. It also works as a 2000 mAh power bank that can be charged using multiple sources like hand crank, USB charging, using 3 AAA batteries, and even with solar power. It can charge your devices like smartphones as well, and also features an SOS alarm with a bright red light to ask for help or warn others. Number 4. Baofeng UV82 Baofeng Radio Ham Radio. It supports NOAA weather alerts and also has a bright LED flashlight on the top. It comes with 3 power levels, with the maximum power output being an impressive 8 watts. It's also easy to program and supports dual band operation. It offers a lot of versatility too, with a wide range of features like an emergency alarm, FM radio, the ability to monitor 2 channels or frequencies at once, and supporting different calling methods. The display is easy to read and the button layout is neat and well organized. Number 5. Yaesu Original Foot 65 Feet 65R. The Yaesu Foot 65R has almost all the features of the Baofeng BFF8 HT, with exception of its power being 5 watts and a limited 200 channels. The Yaesu doesn't include the FM receiver in their radio. Yaesu doesn't skimp on quality or features. Buying a brand name can be a big part of a purchase decision for some people, and you won't go wrong choosing a Yaesu radio. The Foot 65R features a newly designed large white background LED display. The Foot 65R is supplied with a 1950 mAh Li-ion battery pack that is capable of over 9 hours of operation.
For more details, click the link in the description.
Okay. I wonder what the range is for, using that between, let's say you have a couple of people who, I guess, two people have to have this or have to have the same device in order to communicate. Yeah, I know Mike Adams had really been pushing the satellite phones, but yeah, I don't know. I think they've got their issues, and including with health. I tend to rely less and less on anything that Mike Adams has to say. Yeah.
Exactly. Ron just said that the satellites could be shut down. And why wouldn't they? Why wouldn't they shut them down if they wanted to stop us from communicating with each other?
Right.
In the push of a button. The push of a button.
I just wonder how much they're able to do to sabotage our communication that doesn't also sabotage their own, because they can only function through us. So they got to give instructions to their slaves. And how are they going to really do that if their slaves don't have a way of receiving their instructions, like they do now? I don't know.
Ron just said they have their own comms. He was in the military. He knows.
Okay.
Well, of course they would.
Yeah.
Just like they have their own exit plans if they decide to destroy us, destroy a city or destroy a state or who knows what. They've got their own underground, built-in underground areas to escape.
Yeah, I'm aware of that, but I also seem to have heard about that plan. I mean, they haven't exactly hidden that plan from us, and it may not be the panacea that it's supposed to be. I think it sounds kind of creepy to me that to go underground. I'm
gonna have to share a couple videos with you, Catherine. I've seen some documentaries on these underground cities, and there are vehicles. There's like stores. It's like another city. I mean, there's everything you would want up here. They have created it down there, and I'm telling you, it's very very high tech and upgraded, and it's almost like you could live down there for a very long time and be very comfortable.
Well, that's the theory. I don't know.
Ron said that we should develop our own
CEOI.
What is that? What is that? Communication security with our communities.
Okay. Yeah, I'd like to hear more about that.
I'd like to hear more about where these communities are. We live in these communities where everybody's wearing blindfolds.
What?
I'm just saying. I mean, like you go out and everybody's like living their life like everything's normal, and they don't. I don't know if they don't know how to research, or I don't understand how they don't really know what's going on and what's coming our way.
We know that most people are oblivious, even if they had the ability and the information at their fingertips. Most people, are taking some sort of psychotropic pharmaceuticals that are interfering with their ability to think.
Yeah,
and they don't have the frame of mind to be willing to receive information. I was just speaking to somebody recently who was pretty aware, but the fallback position seems to be we could just forget about all this and just enjoy the time we have left. Really?
Wow.
I would not be able to enjoy the time we have left while doing nothing.
You know, they've put their trust in men, put their trust in the government, put their trust in people who have a title, people who wear a badge, people who, you know, and pretty much people with titles, and they put their trust. I can't believe that people trust their children, you know, with what other people say is good for them, and what other people want your children to do, and
We think they can micromanage like the public indoctrination centers they call schools, and everything will be, you know, all hunky dory. People think they can save their infants from with nanny cams. Remember, if you're at a point where you don't trust that caregiver, and you have to get a nanny cam, you have to stay home and do it yourself. You know,
I'm telling you. And I've seen many documentaries and stuff with people who just have so much money, but they have to go out and continue to earn all this money for all the expensive cars and expensive homes and expensive vacations, and in the meantime they sacrifice this time with their children that are growing up, and they put their child, the most precious gift in life, and you put that in the hands of someone else instead of caring for that gift yourself, because you want more things for yourself and more things for the child, and the child doesn't care about the things, you know. The child needs you
until you teach them that those are the important things.
Right.
You know, a greedy child with shallow values.
Yeah, Keith is right. Most of everything they have is borrowed or in debt, you know. Huge debt. Debt.
Well, you know, we've gone for, you know, an hour and 15 or so, and I wanted to just give everybody a heads up about next time, because I don't think we've covered all the ways, even not that we've covered thoroughly, but we've covered at least superficially some of the ways, some of the scary parts of going it alone without the cabal. And but there's other areas that we haven't talked about. And the big one, and we've talked about it before, but I want to talk about it again to remind people about our right and the need that we have for being able to exercise our right to self-defense, and we cannot delegate that. And a lot of people don't understand who's going to protect us. You know, well, is your arm broke? You know, you're going to have to learn to do it yourself.
Yeah.
But you know what? And this sort of overlaps two areas: transportation and self-defense. And I brought this up before, and we have a common law process for making the roadways safer. And at the same time, part of what makes them unsafe is we've got these corporate code enforcers that are armed, that are weaponized, roaming, you know, the public roadways, and they have no duty to protect. Gonzalez versus Castle Rock. You know, I'll get y'all, anybody that wants it, you know, get y'all that citation and the other one from District of Columbia Circuit. They have no duty to protect us from physical harm, none, because they're corporate agents. So if they have no duty to protect, what are they doing being armed? They have, and This is something we could do within the next couple of months anyway. We could get a judgment for anybody who wants to be part of it that we have the authority to disarm them. Now, I understand we're not going to necessarily enforce that right away, but I would rather have it and not be able to use it right away than need it later and not have it.
Yeah.
So there's no way they can defend against that. They have no logical basis for carrying arms. The people need to be confiscating their arms. We don't need to worry about that that they might steal our weapons. We need to confiscate theirs that we help pay for and that are not serving our interests and are part of them maintaining the public nuisances that they're running on our roadways and our public houses.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, Mike. We weren't keeping an eye on the live stream on the YouTube side because we're in the group here. But Mike, on the YouTube side, can you see that on the screen? And he's so right. I guess that's what the Bible means by ears that hear and eyes that see. And God says it in the Word of God says they have eyes, but they cannot see. They have ears, yet they do not hear.
Yes, yes. I would like to bring aboard anybody who's ready to break their denial, but most will not. And yes, email me, I will help you.
I have your email right there on the screen, Catherine.
JARadio@AOL.com. My phone number is 614-633-0215. If you forget, you go to our common law website, common law court website, which is displayed on the screen also. And you can see what we've done. And I want to mention, too, this is a big obstacle. We'll probably mention it again. This is a big obstacle for people joining us on our court. And be aware that a lot of people are aware that common law is the solution. And so there's a number of clear psyops that are designed to sabotage our the common law efforts, to confuse people, to make people think common law is complicated. And they want us to believe that, to do common law, you have to learn how to play 5D chess. No, 3D checkers is all you really need. And don't make it harder than it is. Common law is it can be understood at various levels, but the basic deal is that we do not cause harm to others. That's it. We do unto others as we would have them do unto us. And the ones who are harming us are hiding behind these fake corporate structures that mean nothing to us. We are not bound by their fake structures. Exactly. The simpler the law is, the more powerful it becomes. This is the law of the people. This is designed for people to be able to use. This is supposed to be based on government by consent. That means the consent of everybody. If everybody isn't consenting, then it isn't law. It may be corporate policy, but that doesn't bind living people. It may bind legal fiction persons who work for that corporation, but it doesn't bind living people. And we need to understand, yes, if we're really up against it and we believe that we have to give up some of our sovereignty to be, to put food on the table, and we have to sell ourselves into a form of indentured servitude, for a while to get, currency to use. But that's what we're trying to do here, is to show people there may be better ways that we can provide for our needs other than getting, working for FRNs, and helping to feed the parasites that are preying on us. Yes, Mike, I understand normies can't hear certain information, but you can hear that information, can't you, Mike? And I urge you to join us. And I consider that those who do have eyes to see and ears to hear are in a position of really having an obligation, to yourselves as well as others to join with us. The more of us there are, the more of an effect we can have. We're still effective, with just the few that we have, but we could do more with more people.
Yeah,
And,
definitely.
And we could help more people. We could share what the truth is, because there's a whole lot of folks out there that don't want us to have the truth, that are perverting the truth about common law, making it way more difficult than it would have to be.
Unfortunately, yeah, they're out there. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes, they are. So, anything else that
are out there.
Bring up? We're going to probably do part 4 of stopping feeding the tapeworm next time.
Okay.
And get into, defending ourselves and disarming the enemy.
Yeah.
So at least establishing the clear-cut, documented right to disarm the enemy. Step by step by step. We're not going to get there overnight. And, in the section I think I read at the beginning from Joel, from Exodus, it's not going to happen, overnight. But we have to take those baby steps, and we're going to get closer. And then the more steps you take, the more you see what else you can do. It starts to open eyes and ears. So,
all right. Well, thank you, Catherine, and thank you, Ron. Even though your mic was not working, you were able to join us with the chat. You did very well. Thank you. And Keith and Dr. E is not with us right now, but I know he's watching. And to everyone else, God bless you all. And we will see you next Thursday.
Absolutely. God willing.
God bless you all. Thank you.
Thanks. Till next time.